Oh,
Dave.
Man. Yes.
Hey,
yes,
sorry to
yes.
scare you.
Sorry.
Wake up.
Yeah.
Listen,
Oh, wow.
I had to wake you because I love those threads.
Thanks. Yeah.
You're looking, I would say high end. That's how I would describe
I was so
you.
excited about wearing these clothes that I slept in them, as you can see.
I don't think that's good for the
Can
clothes.
I tell you why I like them so much?
Please.
This cashmere sweater
Uh-huh.
and stretched wool dress pants.
Uh-huh.
It's hard to say, but they feel so good to wear. Are from Quince.
I knew it.
But together, they're under. Take a wild guess how much they're.
I would pay $2,500,000.
They're under $200.
Shut
You
up.
are wasting your money, John.
Dave, how does Quince do it? How do they keep their prices 50 to 80% lower than similar brands?
John, I'm going to tell you actually because I know
Please.
this. They partner directly with top factories and cut out the cost of
Get
the
that middleman out of here.
Get
And
the heck out of
Quince
here.
only works with factories that use safe, ethical, and responsible manufacturing practices and premium fabrics and finishes for that luxury feel.
Oh, John, I have sweatpants, Henleys,
Yep.
cardigans, all from Quince,
All from
and
Quince.
they're all a perfect fit.
Listen, indulge in affordable luxury. Go to quince.com/Dadville for free shipping on your order and 365-day returns. You heard me right. 365-day returns.
That's QUINCE.com/Dadville to get free shipping and 365-day returns. Quince.com/Dadville.
Yeah.
Hi, I'm Dave Barnes,
And I'm John McLaughlin.
and welcome to Dadville.
Dadville is a podcast where we talk about life, love, and the pursuit of awesome dadding.
It's funny thoughts and deep talks.
So please enjoy your time here in Dadville and enjoy this episode with Dave and me. John.
John, I didn't even tell you, but we're recording.
Oh my gosh, are we really?
Yeah, we are. I didn't want to tell you. I want the most authentic version of you that I can get. And so I was just going to see.
Dave, if that's what you want, go back in Dadville's archives because we've got 200 plus episodes
There's a
of
plethora.
authentic me.
That is true.
I'm always being authentic.
I feel like for me, I've been about 20%.
20, that's what I was going to say. 20,
and the rest
21%.
has been, just the
Performative.
the showbiz Dave.
Performative.
The
yeah.
Dave that people pay to come see. But the real one hides in the shadows, John. He can't say the things that he thinks or
Let him
how
out
he
into the
feels
light.
and how
Let him
scared
out
he
into the
is.
light. Yeah.
How vulnerable he feels, how small he feels,
Yeah.
that he stole all of his jokes from a Hungarian kid he met on a mission trip. And
Oh, gosh.
and
That
he's
poor
just
kid.
recycling them over and over. They translate a little differently, so he does take a little credit because,
Right.
English props up a little bit of the humor, but it's it's so Johnny, just what's going on? Would you just tell me and don't think about the millions
Yeah.
of people
No, I don't.
listening also.
I have no problem
Think
being
about me.
authentic in front of the millions
Yeah.
of Hungarian listeners that we have now. Dave, listen, it's up and it's down.
Okay.
Here's what I would say.
Talk to me.
Right now, in this
Yep.
moment,
Mhm.
we're sitting here in your palatial guest house.
Yeah.
Just down the hill
Don't
from
we call
the
it a
main...
studio that has a guest house instead of a guest
Yeah,
house? that
it's
has
a studio that has a guest
I
house
like
attached
that.
to it.
I feel more potent.
That it's next to your main estate.
Yeah. That's actually a guest house with a lot of rooms is what we call the house.
Everyone's a guest. Because this isn't our home.
Oh, there
Anyway.
it is. There it is.
But the sun is shining. The weather's been great these past couple days.
Yep.
I've had a couple little wins
Oh,
with my kids.
okay.
Specifically one of my kids.
Okay.
It's amazing how that can just turn
Oh, yeah.
the whole world. Like everything's going to be okay.
Are these secretive wins, or are you going to tell us about them?
No, I'll tell you.
Okay.
But 2 weeks ago, maybe, 2 or 3, there was about a 2-week span there where the weather was absolutely just grim here in
Dark.
Nashville.
Yeah, it was.
It was just grim. It was just dark and
Everybody
rainy and-
above the Mason-Dixon line right now is like,
Sorry, did you say
grim.
week? 2 or 3 week stretch?
all of our Wisconsin listeners right now, I can hear their eyes rolling.
But it was just kind of, it was like you can have some gray days where it's a little overcast or whatever. And then you have like the grim days where it's
yeah.
like double overcast
Yeah.
somehow. and rainy and just, and it's also cold. And so your options are just limited. You could go for a walk around the block, but it's almost worse outside, And then put on top of that, which I think that I have talked about on here as of late, is we're in the middle school years. We're in the children naturally should start to separate themselves from their parents, and our eldest has taken that separation on. She's like, this is not a process. It is binary. It's a switch.
Yeah.
I used to be connected to you guys. Boom. Guess what? I don't even respond now.
Yeah.
You say good morning. Guess what I say? Nothing.
Good riddance. Okay, sorry. Shoot. Okay.
You say, hey, how was school? Guess what I say? Nothing.
Mm.
Okay. You say, do you want some breakfast? I say nothing.
Even breakfast.
Even breakfast. Yeah. Occasionally, on like a Friday, I'll get, hey, Daddy, will you go get some donuts tomorrow? And you know what? In those moments, I'm like, I'll get you anything if you'll just keep talking to me.
I'll do donuts.
Yeah.
In the front yard.
Oh, there we go. But this week there have been some wins.
Peace treaties?
Now here's what I'll say. So a couple nights ago, this is sort of the pattern that we've been in. They're at school all day. A lot of times they'll have like a drama rehearsal after school or something like that, or maybe a soccer or something like that. So they have long days, and then they come home and they got to do homework. And homework can last hours, and typically like Amy and I split up, and one goes with one goes with the other. And so we've been getting in this pattern where like at the end of the night, I'm really getting into the weeds and the minutia of our routine here, but stay with me.
Okay.
We're in this phase where Luca wants to go to bed later than Livy. This is a big thing. She's like, I don't care when Livy goes to bed.
I'm going later.
I'm going later, which I totally get it. It should happen that way. Yeah. It's fine.
You and Amy have done that for years.
Exactly. Whenever I'm going to bed, Amy will be there a couple hours before.
Yes.
And so that's fine. It's just I would like to go to bed, honestly, at like 8 o'clock.
Yeah.
I'm my most tired at like 7:45.
Yeah.
And so now, we're not done with homework until like 9:30. And, if Livy's homework went long or whatever, and she wasn't in bed until 9:05 or something like that, then it's like, okay, well, Luca's staying up till 10. So it's 10 o'clock, and here's what she wants to do. We have bunnies now. They each have their bunny. They each take their bunny into bed with them when they go to bed. They brush their teeth. They bring the bunny in. They kind of snuggle with the bunny for a little bit. And then we have to take the bunny, make sure the bunny doesn't stay in the bedroom, put it back in their little cage. So at 10 o'clock, I'm like, I don't want to now have another like 20, 25 minute segment where I have to sit and wait for you to be done snuggling with this bunny. So anyway, I say to her, as she's wrapping up her homework, I'm like, hey, tonight, since it's kind of late, how about you just go up and give Cookie, the bunny, just a hug, give him a little kiss on his head, say goodnight, brush your teeth, and go to bed. Fully thinking, this is not it. Why am I even saying this? She's probably going to be like, no, I'm staying up till midnight, and I'm buying another bunny. She goes, I can't overstate how miraculous this is. She goes, okay. And then does it. So now 2 nights in a row, Dave, the last 2 nights, this is how it's gone. She's done it. And Amy and I were having coffee this morning, and I'm like, I don't want to make too much of this. But are we now in like a new phase where she's like, we've got a couple more wrinkles in that little developing brain of hers, and she's like, yeah, I can kind of now empathize with how this night's going for you. It's not fair for me to make you wait up another 25 minutes just while I'm snuggling with this bunny, just so you can then put it, I don't know. Maybe not. Maybe she's just was really tired and she's like, I just want to go to bed. Who knows? But that occurrence has completely like turned I'm in like a great mood now.
You're so happy.
So happy. I'm just she's broken me down. I'm in boot camp right now, Dave. She has broken me down, and now if she gives me anything,
A crumb.
I'm the guy at boot camp week 1 who just found half a Snickers bar on the floor.
Oh,
and I'm
that
like,
wasn't a Snickers bar. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's grim, John.
yeah,
That's a grim. And it immediately shows the difference between our parenting, because I wouldn't do that with a gun to my head.
well, here's the thing, and I'm aware of all that. You pick your battles here.
You do.
You
do.
pick your freaking battles.
Yeah.
And there are not this week. There were a totally manageable amount of battles. But as of late, there have been so many battles. So you find yourself sitting and waiting for your child to be done snuggling this bunny.
That bunny.
Listen, it's so, I get it. I get, if I were listening to this, I'd be thinking, bro, you got to take control of your house here. And I would have, like, a year ago, I would have been like, yeah, come on. But
here we
lately, I'm like, yeah, okay. I've gone through some things. I'm like, get control.
Things.
Please, come on in. Take control of this child. Go ahead.
Oh my gosh.
So anyway.
Wow.
We've had some really sweet moments. And I mean, I love her to death, of course. She is the best. She's hilarious. These are the years.
Yeah.
You know, we're in those teenage years. And Livy, you know, who's 9, who's still in elementary school, and she's just, they're in very different stages of that separation and all that, you know?
Yeah.
And, you know, so it really kind of accentuates again, like when I'm dropping her off at school and I'm like, hey, love you, bye. And the door's already open, so she's not even acknowledging me, my oldest I'm talking about. And all that is totally fine. It's totally, you know, like wanting to be dropped off a block away so that they don't see that their parents dropped you off. Even though you're like, what do you think they think? You live alone or something like that?
Yeah.
Whatever. It's all developmentally fine, but it really accentuates the younger one who is like, oh, she gave me a hug. And she said, love you, Daddy, before she went into school. You know?
You are a broken man, John. That's what I'm looking at, as a guy who has just been absolutely taken down to the studs.
I mean, it's funny, but I really have. I mean, to be completely honest, in the parenting world, in parenting, I have been broken down. I'm not saying that all the parenting books should not exist. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying I'm not writing one. And I'm just saying it gives me so much empathy and sympathy for all parents, which I already had. It's just a new depth.
Yeah.
And I think maybe this is the last thing I'll say. The thing that I take away from it is, which is so universal, the more you live, the more you're honest with yourself, the less you judge other people. Just with that example of me sitting outside Luca's bedroom waiting for her to be done snuggling with this bunny, that situation on its face is problematic, I would say. But I'm like, there's just so much that led up to this moment right now.
So many decisions were
So
made.
before you make some snap judgment on anyone, I'm telling myself now, like any parent, anywhere, you know, there's a lot. It's complicated. There's a lot that led up to this person being in this situation, whatever it is, you know. So, but it's a great week, Dave. I'm having a great time.
You've gotten back.
I have. If we did this 2 weeks ago, I'd have a different tone. But I'm just taking it, not even day by day, it's moment by moment.
Yeah, just day by day.
Yeah.
Just night by night.
Hour by hour.
Bunny by bunny. Yeah. Snuggle.
Yeah.
Are you looking for an experience that will grow your teenagers' faith, increase their leadership skills, and teach them the discernment to engage with the world all around them, all while taking them on the adventure of a lifetime? I mean, who isn't looking for that? If your teenager loves fun, adventure, and wants to grow in their faith and leadership this summer, then send them to Excel's Summer Leadership Camp. Excel's Summer Leadership Camp is a 12-day experience for passionate young leaders looking to discover God's truth, to discern wisely, and live wholeheartedly. Your teenager will embark on a transformative journey in the Blue Ridge Mountains, where they'll build lasting friendships in the context of community, embark on thrilling adventures like camping, rock climbing, whitewater rafting, and they will receive expert training and certifications in categories like CPR and wilderness first aid. Each aspect of the camp is woven together to help them learn to discover truth, to discern wisely, and take godly action in the context of real-life situations. To learn more or begin an application, go to theexcelcamp.org. That's theexcelcamp.org. Hurry, because summer is just around the corner.
This episode is brought to you by Peacock. The new Peacock original documentary, Matthew Perry, A Hollywood Tragedy, dives deep into the beloved actor's rise to fame and his tragic death. 5 people, including Perry's personal assistant, 2 medical doctors, and an alleged Hollywood drug dealer known as the Ketamine Queen, were charged with conspiracy to illegally provide Perry with the ketamine. Explore the details of the case in this heartbreaking special, streaming now only on Peacock.
How are you doing?
We have been a house of infirmity.
Yeah. All of Nashville is.
It's been, I'm assuming most
sick.
people listening, I would imagine, are probably going through this, but it's been like a couple of weeks of just kind of everybody got sick except for me. And I got a head cold thing that's been a couple of weeks, but not like this stuff.
But you didn't feel bad.
No.
Yeah.
I had one day where I was like, I don't feel great.
Yeah.
But it wasn't anything. So, I tell you too, man, when Annie gets sick, I feel like women are superheroes this way. It's one thing I really think they have in droves. It's one of the many things that I feel like they have in droves over men. It's just their pain threshold, Don't
you wonder if that comes from just the complexity of their bodies and
I don't know.
Like their bodies can feel a range of physical feelings and
their bodies haven't been their own for a long time now.
Yeah.
But man, when Annie gets sick, it is like there's like 5% margin from when it takes her so much to lay down and be sick that I got about 5% left before I'm taking her to the ER.
Yeah.
Because it's just, she's just got that much of a pain tolerance.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like, I always get like a little nervous when she's like, I'm not feeling great. Because for her to say she's not feeling great is for my 3rd day in the bed.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like she's just so, I feel like so many women are like that.
You're already setting up a GoFundMe.
Literally. Like, so when genuinely, truthfully, when she's like, I'm not feeling great, I start to go, okay, I need to, all right, do we have emergency contacts?
Right.
God, where are the kids supposed to be? And sure enough, she was down for about a day and a half, and it is, and it's not like I know what to do. That's not what I'm saying. I got all that. That's all fine. Scheduling, I need to know some things that I don't know, but it's not like the house shuts down. It's just like, I get worried about her because I'm like, she's sick. She's real sick when she's down. So she had a couple days where I was kind of like, I was so relieved when she came down after that first day, and she was kind of like, I was like, okay, God, thank the Lord.
Yeah.
Because, it's just, and then of course the kids just, where's mom? What, I need to ask her something, whatever. So we had a couple days of that, but it's been, a couple weeks. And then, and I thought we were in the clear because Ben and I navigated it, my oldest. And then, like, 2 days after, like, everybody was healed. Everybody was back in school doing the things. 2 days later, he got sick, which was so weird.
Yeah.
Because usually, it all kind of runs through your family so quickly. So,
but I feel like that's a consistent thing that I feel like is happening.
Oh, really?
Right now. People are getting sick. They think they're kind of slightly getting over it. And then, boom, it hits them again.
Wow.
That's like...
So I've been terrified that like we're on about day 2 or 3 of Ben not being sick now, and I'm like, please Lord, Because if
Who's
it
going
took
to
Annie
go?
down, it would kill me. It would absolutely kill me. But yeah, so we're getting over that, we're getting over it, John. And
let me ask you this,
Yeah.
because this naturally comes up whenever sickness is in the house. Well, I should say when a kid is sick, like the other night, you had your and Annie's fundraiser thing for Siloam Health, and I saw Annie, and she was like, "I just got a text from the babysitter. Ben's throwing up." Like if your kid's throwing up, then that's one thing.
That's right.
It's when they're kind of on the cusp there. It's like they're saying they're sick. You're like, are they sick?
Yeah.
Say you make the decision, they get sent home, you go pick them up, they're home from school.
Yeah.
This happened to us recently, and I'm like, what's the play here?
Yeah.
Because if I'm suspecting any possibility that they're just wanting to come home because they just don't want to be at school right now, then I'm like, well, there should be no fun things happening.
Right.
They shouldn't even be able to sit on like a soft surface.
Yeah, on the floor.
No TV, no video games, no snacks.
Yeah.
I don't know. But
Maybe
then I'm
no
also
food.
like, just no food. I'm also like, I don't know. Is that overkill? Am I going to look back on this and be like, just let them have a day?
Well, you know where it gets you, and this kind of happened to us the other day. We kind of, it turns into a little bit of like Spring Break 98 when it's like, when they're home and sick, because it's kind of like you feel miserable, watch TV. If you feel up for playing video games, fine. Yeah. And let me be clear. Our video games are like Star Wars and sports games. We're not talking open world games. Yeah, like where it's like that. It's just really fun, like simple, whatever. And so, we just kind of like run amok, basically. Because most of the time they don't want to play video games when they're really sick, obviously. Like it's just, you want to lay there and be miserable. You're not like trying to, and not to mention it makes you nauseous, like watching the screen moving like crazy. So, they watch their movies, they watch their shows, whatever. We just kind of let them do their thing. The trick was yesterday, I'm not going to say which because I don't want to throw them under the bus. One of our kids is like, hey, I don't feel good, I need to come home. And of course, Danny went and got this child, brought them home, and they were pretty okay. And so far, we haven't had a problem with our kids not wanting to go to school. So that hasn't really been something where we're like
that. You haven't had that problem at all.
I mean, maybe a little bit, but not in a way that's a factor we have to think through.
Yeah.
Like, wait a second, are you faking this? Like that just hasn't.
Yeah.
For whatever reason. So Annie picks this child up, brings them home, and pretty quickly realizes like, oh, they're not, I don't know that they're sick. And then it's like, and then later that night we busted this kid's chops because we basically put together that I think there was an assumption that video games were in play. And so that's not really ever happened to us before. So it was hysterical because Annie and I were laughing later like, oh, okay. Mm-hmm. So that may, to your point, we have to rethink like what, I mean, obviously, when a kid is sick, that's very obvious, but those sort of, I just remember too, growing up, like this is back in the days of video stores and tiny video store in Mississippi, but mom would go get like 3 or 4 movies, and come
when
home.
You were sick.
Yeah. If I was home for the day, sorry. And, or Beth and Brad. And it'd just be like, and it wasn't fun because you felt bad, but it was fun in that you're like, I'm getting to watch Shipwrecked or Overboard or whatever, and whatever movies.
Were they all nautical based?
They were, yes, because I was nauseous.
There we go. Okay.
And so
I knew
there
there'd be some kind of connection.
Yeah. And, and it'd just be like, and then about the second day when you felt good, it was really cool because like you could actually sort of sit there and enjoy the movies and not feel bad. So there's always a little bit of it. You get a little something on being home when you're sick, or like you get to eat popsicles because that's the one thing you can kind of hold. They were kind of like this little there's like a little bit of something fun happening. Yeah,
and I mean, I don't have any memories of other than my senior year of high school. I got a little loose with kind of leaving school early. But that was, anyway, that doesn't really count because at that point I'm like 18 and I'm driving and but I don't have any memories when I was a kid of kind of faking being sick and then being home.
Oh, yeah.
But I remember being home sick sometimes and loving the feeling of being taken care of.
Oh, man.
I actually, my freshman year of college, I remember coming home because I was sick. And I definitely remember, I just remember being like, I'm so glad that I'm home. I'm in a nice, comfortable home. My mom is taking care of me. My mom was probably overjoyed that I was sick.
Oh, yeah. You know, she may have made you sick.
Might have. I mean, prolonged it a little bit, but anyway, you want them to feel like they have a safe,
absolutely
comfortable home to come home to. But it's just tricky when you suspect that there's a little foul play going on. It's like, how uncomfortable
can I say
do we
something
make
crazy
this?
sidebar? I don't think I got sick in college. I don't remember a day where I was sick in college.
Really?
Yeah, like that. I mean,
You weren't going hard enough then.
You know what? I appreciate that.
Yeah,
that's a really
you
fair
weren't pushing yourself.
I needed. I'm trying to think of what I would have been doing to make myself that sick in college. Well, I mean, some obvious things, I guess. But So anyway, we just had it was just kind of like, it was, God, those weeks are just like, man, and it just never, and can I tell you this, okay, for all the parents out there, I told somebody this the other night and they related to this because I felt some shame. Annie and I are sitting watching a show. It's like 9:15 that night. Kids are in the bed. We hear the stairs, somebody coming down the stairs, not falling. That was them walking.
Okay.
And could have been falling, honestly.
Sure.
And we turn, and there's the child, and it was Xana. Yeah, because all three of them got it. This was Xana. So she's come down the stairs, 10 years old, looking at us. And so real time, down the stairs. We turn. She's looking at us. We're looking at her. She's looking at us. We're looking at her. We say, Xana, what's wrong, honey? And she's like, I think I have to throw up. So then she walks down to the bathroom and vomits all over the floor. I am livid about this. And Annie immediately turns to me and is like, this is not a hill to die on. Literally, she's like, I know, just let it go. And I'm like, I mean, I am just working. I'm like the Inside Out Rage character. Yeah. I'm like, oh my God, just throw up in the
because you're upset at the injustice of
her being
a sweet,
sick.
Innocent child getting this sickness.
What has she done to deserve a stomach bug? And then right under that. So that's first. Oh, that's a big one.
Yeah.
Under that, though, I'm just like, please just walk to the
You had all the time in the world.
She stood there for at least 7 seconds.
Yeah.
And I am Annie is so annoyed with me, and rightfully so. She's like, I will clean it all up. Just please just go away. Because I'm like, she can't, and I can't help it. Xana, who is sick? She is just thrown up. She's standing there, and I'm like, hey, honey, from now on, if you're gonna just go, just walk over. Well, Dad, I was like, I know, and Annie's like, Dave, are you kidding? Literally
like,
from the
sweetie, you had enough time to get to the guest house. Okay?
I'm like, go on the street. We have a tiny front yard. Go in the front yard. I mean, Annie, I couldn't help. I couldn't help it. Annie is from Dave. Are you kidding me? I'm like, just don't listen, Mom. Just please, just remember
if you're trying to get out of cleaning it up, I mean, that worked.
Oh, just
do that every time.
I was like, what? You walked from your room down the stairs, stood for 5 to 7 seconds, and then went and threw up.
Yeah. What kind of punishment did you guys
Yeah, so that's great. So I told her next time I'm going to throw up in her bed, and she has to figure out how. No, I was so mad at myself, and yet I could not resist having to feel like this was a teaching moment.
Yeah. Yeah, that's quite a moment you chose for
it. It's a terror. I'm paying for the therapy. Something. There's no doubt. Okay, so I wanted to bring up something to you.
Okay,
and I just want to see how you just humor me. And this is the point in the podcast where folks can absolutely turn it off if this doesn't interest them. But I just this has substantially affected my headspace over the last couple weeks, and it started with a text from a friend. And he just said, hey, man, so it's the Great Song Podcast guys who I love. JP, shout out JP and Rob. Love the podcast. We've had a text thread for about 3 or 4 years, maybe longer, where we just send all of these music, funny things we notice. Things that would have gone on Dave's 5 Hot Takes, I'll send to them, and they'll do the same. So Rob sends a text probably, I don't know, it's been maybe 2 or 3 weeks, and it just was like, hey, guys, just a fun fact I realized today. Eric Clapton, when he did Unplugged, which was his kind of like comeback, he's going to put it all together. Where's he been? This is it. He's going to sort of get back in the thing. Hugely successful record. I mean, I think it's like 12 times platinum or something crazy. Hugely successful. Had
Which
Tears
was
in Heaven.
what, like 94?
I know that actually. Shoot, when was that? I don't know. It was somewhere, 92 to 94, somewhere there.
Yeah.
He was, and this was Rob's point, he was like, just so y'all know, he was John Mayer's age when he did that.
Which is what, 45?
46. That also is my age.
Yeah.
The ways that this has affected my brain are profound because I think, one, it was interesting thinking of John that way and going like, oh yeah, that would be, and again, and the reason Rob couched it in that sort of like with that context was like, isn't it interesting that was his comeback?
Yeah.
That like at 46, he had been out of the thing for a second, he came back. But also just realizing that that's my age. That's John's, it's a lot of my friends' ages. And so it just made me do this like crazy deep dive on like artists' ages when they released records. And it was really crazy to me to realize how, and this is where I wanted to talk about it here because I think it has a broad, because I can nerd, I can nerd on this. But I think where it was maybe something that people would be interested in is we think of these legends, because they're legends, these icons of our industry, as like these just, they've put out records for forever and had success for forever. And what was really crazy is I did this deep dive. I spent like 30 minutes that afternoon going like, I wonder what everybody's ages and record release schedules was. And basically so I'm going to go through this fast because I know this is not everybody's thing, but this gives crazy context to me. So Sting, when he released 10 Summoner's Tales, was 42. Mercury Falling when he was 46, and Brand New Day at 50. Brand New Day had obviously a couple of hits on it, right?
Yeah. He was 50.
50, right?
Wow.
50. Stevie Wonder, well, let's get to Stevie in a second. Paul McCartney's Say, Say, Say was at 42 years old on Pipes of Peace. Flaming Pie is incredible. It may be one of my favorite records. That was 55. But as far as his last commercial success, that was at 42. Like that. Now, people listening are getting so mad at me. I'm not saying his genius. That never ends. But, having a hit that was big deal. Paul Simon was Graceland at 45.
Yeah. That's crazy.
Right? That's substantial. I mean, that's a year ago for me. He would have released Graceland.
Yeah.
Right? Which is crazy because I think you either think of him as like, wow, that's really old for him, or you think, wow, he was really young. I mean, that's what's sort of weird about this game.
I'm surprised at how old he is.
Yeah. So he
at that release.
Right. Right. Fun fact about him was he made his last record at 82, the one that came out last year, 82. And he's put out, but I think, again, some people would probably say that was his last real commercial hit.
Right.
That record. Michael Jackson, Dangerous came out when he was 33. Invincible came out when he was 43.
Yeah.
And there was a decade between those two records. He put out History in between then, obviously. But, in 43, and I don't even think he released any more music after that, other than the Timberlake stuff that they did after his death. This Stevie Wonder, Hotter Than July came out at 30. Songs in the Key Life was 26. In Square Circle in 1985 when he was 35. And that's really, he's released a couple records since then, but that was double platinum and it had a couple kind of like minor hits on it.
Yeah.
35 Stevie Wonder was that, like, that's his last arguably really big commercial release was when he was 35.
Yeah.
And so I think what's crazy to think about when you think about what you and I do and how our culture works is that, so many of these artists, now I'm not talking about bands, bands are a whole other conversation, but I just think it's so interesting. Like, interesting that, you have Clapton at 46, you have all these guys doing these records in their 40s, basically. Springsteen kind of gets into his 50s with The Rising, I think. But really before that, I think he was Human Touch in 92 and he was 43, which had a hit on it.
Yeah.
But it's like, you know, one, it's crazy to think how long ago all those records were. And it doesn't feel like that in my brain. But it also is how old they were. And that was kind of their, you know, some would say commercial swan songs.
Right.
But yet we see them as these sort of eternal artists when really the bulk of their cultural commercial impact is sort of done by your 40s. Isn't that crazy to think about?
Yeah, I mean the Clapton one I feel like is the most I guess impactful for me because I remember like summer of whenever that was or maybe a couple years there. It seemed like Tears in Heaven was on every other song.
Yep.
Every other song on the radio whenever those couple years were. But to me, at a, you know, it's like a 92. Okay, so I'm 10 years old. To me, this is an old person. Like this is someone older, significantly older than my parents.
Yeah.
So, and I liked the song, of course, but I'm like, this is not, you know, like Nirvana. Yeah. This is not like So it's interesting because you feel like as you get older. You feel like the rules kind of change a little bit and perception changes.
Yeah.
Like your comparison to John Mayer.
Yeah.
It's like it's like when we see friends of ours that we haven't seen in a while and their kids are now, like if you haven't seen them in 6 years, their kids, if my math is correct, are 6 years older than the last time you saw them. That blows our mind.
Yeah.
And it's kind of the same thing. It's like, well, when Clapton put that out, that's to me at the time, that's an old man putting out music.
Yeah.
John Mayer, no, it's different.
Yeah.
But it's like, no, it's not different.
Well, and I think that you're exactly right. And I think that's what I, like when I think about high school kids, because every now and then, you know, John Mayer is kind of an archetype for us, right? Like he's the guy.
Yeah.
And so unbelievably talented. And so it's crazy to me because I'm meeting more and more kids. I mean, obviously Ben's aging down. I know they wouldn't know who John is, but you know, I mean, like a college kid, even a high school kid, and they're like, "Yeah, I don't know who that is." And I'm like,
"Well, it's now just totally dependent on the house you grew up in."
That's right. That's right.
Because
that's right.
I mean, your kids would know. Like my girls would know who John Mayer is. Mm-hmm. If you start playing New Light, they'd be like, "Oh yeah, this is the song that my dad plays every Saturday morning when he's making pancakes."
Yeah,
you know. After he cleans the house and prays over us and all that. So it just is totally dependent upon the house you grew up in, but culture at large, it's not, John Mayer's not everywhere. He's not in the zeitgeist of that demographic anymore.
Yeah, it's and I think too, for me, it really sheds some new light on how people potentially 10, 20 years younger than us think about not just John, but me.
Totally.
You know, where I'm like,
that's the next thought.
It gives so much context to, you know, in a season where, you know, we've talked about some of Dadville, but, you know, it's like, it's not easy doing music these days. So those little moments of clairvoyance, I go, oh, that helps me understand why this is tougher, is because if someone is looking at John Mayer that way, Lord knows how they would look at me if they're even looking at me. So it's, I don't know. It really threw me. Like I spent so long staring. Oh, and here's another fun fact to add to that, maybe bookend that thought, is that, and this is another thing Rob actually sent this morning, Alice Cooper, when he was on Wayne's World 2, because we actually want to end with a question, which I'll get to in a second. When he was on Wayne's World 2, he played himself, but he played kind of like the legend. They had him on, and the whole joke is that he's kind of, not a joke, but like the way they're using him in the film is like, you're the icon.
Right.
He was 42.
No.
It's so what a great response. No. But like this is the thing that I thought was kind of funny about that. Isn't it funny that you know, they didn't have, now granted in 92 rock music was still too young to have a real legend, a 60 or 70-year-old legend, because it just wasn't old enough, you know.
Yeah.
But I think, isn't it funny that instead of having a 70 or, like Jerry Lee Lewis, come on, would have probably been someone that could have done it because he'd maybe been around that age or something. But that feels too old. But like 42 feels right in music to be like, he's like one of the old guys.
Yeah.
He's one of the dinosaurs. But you're still relevant enough at 42 that he's still probably had some success. I don't know about him at that age, but he's definitely still touring and people obviously know who he is. And he doesn't look old enough for people to be like, this feels a little weird. But 42 was
42.
like, let's get out rock legend.
Yeah.
Isn't that crazy?
Yes, it is crazy.
This episode is brought to you by Hyundai. Whether you're running errands with the kids or heading on a weekend escape, the new 2025 Hyundai Tucson Hybrid is packed with class-leading advanced safety features like blind spot view monitor, forward collision avoidance assist, and wireless phone charging, so you can stay focused on what really matters. Learn more about the new Tucson Hybrid at HyundaiUSA.com.
This episode is brought to you by Coffee Mate. After watching this season of the HBO's original series, The White Lotus, this is the tropical getaway I needed. One more pina colada, please.
Hey, you're not on mute.
Oh, I thought I was in paradise. Turns out it was my Coffee Mate. Coffee Mate pina colada and Thai-iced coffee flavored creamers. Inspired by the newest season of HBO's original series, The White Lotus. For the love of coffee. Try now.
It makes me think of, because like we were saying, ultimately, these steps of thought bring you back to yourself.
Always.
And it makes me think, which this was years ago, but Amy and I were with a group of friends, and we were at Kings Island amusement park. And I went up to this kid who probably was 15 or 16. And I asked him what time it was. And he called me sir. And I remember thinking, I don't like that. I don't like, why would you look
Obviously,
at a peer
such a young
and call me sir?
Hello.
And I mean, that was a long time ago.
Yeah.
That was at least 15 years ago.
Yeah.
So, I mean, now it's just that you feel the same. I mean, and it makes me think of all these, older couples that we see walking around, or like our parents, or that. It's like, I don't think that we always feel the same, because it's like, I don't feel like I'm 18.
Yeah, right.
I think there are probably a couple markers, and I don't know if they're universal. I don't know what they are, but it's like, for a while there, I felt like I was 18. And then I think it maybe switched, and it's like, well, now I kind of feel like I'm in my late 20s.
Yeah.
And I think I still kind of feel that way. I still feel, and I don't know what the next one will be.
Yeah.
It's probably about now, because I do feel, to your point about this whole thing, I do feel like these past couple years, turning 40 and all that, this is top of mind for a lot of us at this age. So I wonder if this will be like the next kind of marker that, like, when we're in our late 50s and we're doing episode, 2000 of Dadville, I'll probably be saying, I still feel like I'm like in early 40s.
Well, and I think that's so much of why this is so fascinating to me, is I'm like, with age and music, is it weird if Rob Thomas had a hit single right now? Is it weird if John Mayer had a hit single right now? Is that Britney Spears? Is it weird to kind of think like, oh yeah, would culture kind of look at that and be like, oh, well, good for them. Look at that.
Yeah.
Or is it kind of like they've moved on? And then the greater question that I always have, and I think why it fascinates me so much, is like, or not question, but thought, is like, two things. Well, maybe they are questions actually. One is, does it slow down in your 40s just because the fatigue of the whole thing as an artist, right? Which, we don't have to get into all that, but just that is a question I have. Is like, and I can feel that. It's like you and I talk about it all the time. It's hard to write songs you've written them for 25 years, So, and I think that's very fair. Or is it that somehow culturally everybody's just kind of like, hey, we're good. Like, thank you, it's been great. And let's go. You play the songs for us live that we love, the hits, the ones, we'll listen, and you can put out your record, sure, but we don't really need them, so we're just not going to sort of get behind them like we did.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because it's just weird that that's such a consistent thing with solo artists that when they get into their 40s, if they even make it that far. Mm-hmm. And Stevie Wonder to me is maybe the most fascinating because, and granted, I want to be as clear as I can. These people put out incredible music up into those moments, which is why they were around that long.
Yeah.
But, you know, with Stevie, it's like, I mean, 35 to be kind of done with your majority of music. 35, and yet you talk to anybody about him, and it's almost like, this is what I'm trying to say. It's almost like you forget that. You're like, no, he's an artist. He's amazing. He makes great music. It's like, well, though technically he hasn't really in probably, 30 or 40 years.
Yeah.
And that blows my mind.
Right.
Not what he's doing in live context. I mean, that's not on the table. I'm saying in a recorded context and new music.
Yeah.
It's crazy to think about,
Yeah, it is interesting and fascinating because you've got your early success, which if you're successful with that first album or whatever, then that definitely buys you listeners on your second album, right? And then I don't know, at some point, you can put out a maybe not the sophomore album. The second one is still under scrutiny, I think. But let's say you have 2 successful albums, which already is a miracle.
Yeah, it's huge.
By your third album, I do think you are buying, you're given the benefit of the doubt a little bit. You know what I mean? So you can put out some music on that third album that will get traction and will get listens. Maybe here's a good example. Jason Mraz, his I Won't Give Up.
Yeah.
That's a great song.
Yeah.
It's objectively a great song. I'm not saying it's not. I'm just saying there's no way you're leading with that song.
Yeah.
He got the traction with that song. He got people to stop and listen to that song, specifically radio programmers, and just got it out into the world because he's Jason Mraz, because of past success. It's a great song, but it's a tough sell just because of how slow that song is. You have to slow down and listen to it, which is it's a miracle to get people to do that. But I do think at a certain point, the question is, like you're saying, does it just naturally, does the talent kind of maybe run out creatively? Does the creative well sort of run dry at some point? Or are the broader listenership like, look, if I go to see Stevie Wonder and he's got some new album, he has too many mega hits.
Yeah.
I can't be excited about the new album.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's not that maybe it's good, maybe it's not. I don't know. You almost can't be objective about it. It's like you have too many. You have too much of the old catalog that is just, they're hits.
Yeah.
They've got nostalgia and they're amazing. You can't compete with that, even if you're Stevie Wonder.
Yeah. And man, for our moms who are still listening, we were so thankful. I'll say this really quickly is the way I think about it, and I could be wildly wrong. I think, one, people just get used to your voice physically. Like, the timbre of someone's voice, just, you just get, you like, 4th, 5th record, you're like, I still love it. In fact, probably by then they're singing better than they ever have because they've, 10,000 hours kicked in. So they're probably performing it better than ever. But you just, and I think that's where the genius of someone like Paul Simon is paramount, because I think even at a subconscious level, he realized my voice is going to be the same, but I can change the music a lot. And I think that's why Graceland, 25 years into is his most successful album, is because it's just, the music is from South Africa. It's just different. It's like, so you go, whoa, it's like your brain goes, whoa, 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 whoa. You short circuit it a little bit. You kind of cheat it by going, you may know my voice, but I bet you're not used to it surrounded by these sounds. And all of a sudden you're like, oh, it's almost like a new artist. And so I think smart artists kind of go, oh, we got to kind of repackage. Because otherwise, if I keep doing sort of like me and my guitar, it doesn't matter how good the songs are. At some point, you're just kind of like, just kind of, I don't know. I get it. I know what you do. It's great. Which I think is tricky. And I do think, we talk about this a lot on Dadville about marriage and life anyway, but I think as an artist, it's true. You're not John McLaughlin that made your first record.
Right.
Currently. That was currently.
Yeah.
You were then.
Yeah.
But now you're John McLaughlin making his 12th 12th record?
Who knows?
We're not counting.
Yeah.
But you know what I mean? So I think there's also this thing where it's like, yes, it is harder to create as we get older, but I also think like the things that used to inspire us you don't get as inspired as easily. You've written a lot of songs. So, I just think all this stuff fascinates me, especially at the age I am, because all of a sudden that John Mayer text threw me because it was like context suddenly went, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is my age, with Clapton. So let's end with this, John.
Okay.
I referenced Alice Cooper in Wayne's World, which brings up this last question. Favorite soundtrack song of all time. And let me tell you how I'm going to qualify this.
Okay.
The song that you hear that just, oh my, you just can close your, this is where when I hear it now on the radio still, I think of that movie and seeing it and where I was in that time of life.
Yeah. Oh, man.
This is a tough one to spring on you. And you mean to go so I can buy you some time? Or do you have yours already?
I don't know. They're like 6 or 7 that have just flashed in my mind.
Well, just give me those.
I mean, first is like Back to the Future.
Oh.
Huey Lewis.
Of course. That's a great one.
Oh, my gosh. And then, wait, I just had it in my mind. What was it? Breakfast Club.
Oh, yeah.
But what's the song? I'm blanking on the song.
Yeah, totally. I never saw that movie. Don't get mad.
You didn't?
No.
Oh, what is the song? Anyway, it's so ironic that I can't think of the song that is the song that I'm picking. Yeah, those two. And, I mean, Jerry Maguire, Springsteen.
Oh, that's a good one. Oh, yeah. Secret Garden.
I mean, that, obviously, like, this one less so because it almost got too big, but I'll Always Love You, Whitney Houston.
Oh, man.
The Bodyguard. That one just got too big.
Yeah,
it was like,
we
have to stop listening to this song, guys. But those are the ones that come to mind.
The one that's probably the strongest for me is Gloria Love, Karate Kid 2, Beat Us to Terror. I mean, that one, I can just about be anywhere and hear that song and feel like I'm whatever I was, 12 at the time.
Yeah.
Oh, my gosh.
You've got your pillows set up.
And I'm just
you got your black belt
going to town.
Oh, my God.
Just sweating so much.
Yes.
And dreaming of fighting in Okinawa for the glory of my girlfriend. I
have to look up this song. I can't believe I can't. Don't you forget about me.
Who is that?
Yes. Exactly.
Totally. Breakfast.
Simple Minds.
Oh, there it is.
That's and it's ridiculous. I couldn't think of the song, but I think that might be the number one.
Really?
For me.
You know what that shows is that your youngest child is the age of your old. What's that phrase? That your youngest kid is as old as your oldest kid, kind of like with what they've been exposed to. Because that obviously would have been something your siblings would have seen.
Yeah.
I've never seen that movie.
Yeah, we used to watch that at least once before school every day.
Yeah. I do love cereal, though, so I feel like that is it.
That's true. Yeah.
Anyways, we get
Okay. Dadville.